Welcome to Ben's Business Podcast, episode 63. Today, the reason this podcast is called Impromptu is because that's exactly what it is. This is an unplanned Ben's Business Podcast, probably for the first time. So there was a big mistake made on today's guest interview, which was David Burkus, who is actually planned for next Wednesday. So it was my mistake. I started messaging David and he said, I'm not sure where the confusion was. So long story short, we do not have a guest today, but what I've done is I've invited a few people to come on and do some Q&A, so we could try to do that with myself. I have a list of kind of old questions that have come up through my direct messages to me on Facebook and Instagram. So if I don't get any sort of live questions right now, I could answer some of these questions that have come up in the past. But one big plus is at least I'm overly organized for next week's live guest interview with David, and that's a big plus of this. And thank you, Michael, loving the shirt. Any questions, Michael, and anyone else who's on live, fire them away, and I'll just do basically an impromptu podcast here, live Q&As, and any questions about growing your business through lead generation, search engine optimization, marketing, sales, and even networking. I've done a lot of networking in the past, and that's what the topic was going to be about today, which is what it'll be about next week. David Burkus's book's about, it's called Friend of a Friend. That's the latest book, and he's a best-selling author. So I'm really excited to interview David, and we'll just have to wait another week, and everyone that I've mentioned that to will just have to wait. So, Bill, thanks for joining. Do you have any questions for me? And anyone over here on Instagram? I'll just go into something that I was asked a couple of, well, it must have been a couple of months ago. I've not got around to answering it on the podcast. I was actually going to develop a podcast around that topic. So first topic that comes to head is adversity in your own business as a business owner. So that's a topic I could talk for days on, adversity. So like pains, problems, all the things that happen when you try to start a business and get on in life, and any achievement that you want to go for. The adversity is a huge part of that. And I think you need to go through a lot of failure to really appreciate success. So I don't think we should ever be fearful of adversity, of pain or failure. We definitely need that part to appreciate success and really feel successful and be successful, because there's definitely, unless someone's completely fluked it, got successful without any type of failure. Show me the book, show me the story of that person, and I still won't believe you, because it just isn't true. There's no overnight success. We need to try, fail, get up, and then go again. If I could think of a story of one of my own adversities, it was the day that I actually, from the back of, this is a great example actually, from the back of this adversity actually made increased my income from web hosting by 4 times. So this is a good story. I had web hosting for all my clients who I do web hosting for any websites that I've built. So I basically, as I've been building my web design business, I've been building a hosting business, because I manage and maintain my clients' websites, and I do the hosting. I do help them with the domain name setup, getting the email set up. So I basically manage that all for them. So it's kind of done for them. They don't have to worry about how the internet works, because I had to learn that pain myself, and it's not fun to learn exactly how the internet works and how a website works from its very root infrastructure and foundations. So what you want to do is give that to a hosting company, and I basically set up a hosting company as I was building a web design company. Although I must admit that I did not have the infrastructure in place for realizing what kind of responsibility I was taking on when I started a web design business. Therefore, obviously, going for a web hosting business and charging for that as well. So what happened was I was basically charging way too low, like pennies for web hosting, just so that the expense was covered. But what I realized is I was doing a service of maintaining, backing up, making sure that their website was restored. And one day we had a big issue. We had a hacker hacked into our web hosting, and we had shared hosting. Shared web hosting is very different from what we're using now. Shared hosting, the best way to put it is it was in its own in a one big bubble, and all my websites that I built and client sites were in this one bubble. A hacker come along and burst that bubble, and all the websites could get hacked. Virus would get into it, and I basically overnight had to fix this problem. It was Christmas night. I think it was Christmas Eve this happened, so it was a complete disaster. And this was just a huge lesson for me, being so naive and lacking experience on such a big problem. Really showed my character in that moment there, how I was going to deal with it. And I was honestly, I couldn't sleep. I was stressed to the max every night for at least 2 weeks. And my girlfriend, my partner, watched me go through this whole period. Literally had very little sleep for 2 weeks straight, trying to fix this problem. Clients on my back about this for 2 weeks straight. But that, from the back of that, I had that responsibility. I had this massive pressure over a time where people are resting. But when a website goes offline and their website was making money, that is a huge problem. And you have that problem times maybe 30, put it that way. So what happened was I did lose some clients in that period. But in that period as well, I also developed so many skills and resilience in that moment to literally, thoughts went through my head to just quit this whole business and give up, to like not bother. Like if I knew at the beginning when I started my web design business that I was taking on such a big responsibility, I probably wouldn't have went ahead with starting the web design business. But that's what tends to happen in life, and when you start things without doing all your contingency plans and over prep. And something I'm very bad at is over prepping. So problems come up often for me because I'm an imperfectionist. I used to be a perfectionist, but I realized that was just holding me back. Reading too many books, looking too much into things before actually taking action. You only need so much information to actually do something and be successful at something, but you do take on risk in doing it that way. So built up skills about security of websites, had to become an ethical hacker myself to outdo the hackers who were hacking my website. And an ethical hacker is someone who knows how to hack a website, basically. But once you know how to do that, then you can put up shields to block what these hackers know how to get into your site and WordPress sites. So what I also learned was a shared hosting with that one bubble, all the sites in one place, was a terrible idea, especially for client sites. They should be in their own bubble. So each client site has its own bubble. And if for example, my website has its own bubble, my client's website has its own bubble, a joiner's website who's a client has its own bubble. If that joiner's website was burst, like as in the website was hacked and there was virus spreading into that site, that wouldn't spread into the other bubbles per se. So you could have multiple sites within that, but you're protected in a way that it doesn't spread like a virus through all your client sites or all your individual sites. You want to have each site in a bubble if it's an important site. If it's just landing pages, you can't. It could build up to be expensive with a sort of reseller package that I charge for that. So I've got a question from Bill here, so I'll move on to that. Hi Ben, do you use names.co for building websites? I'm building mine at the moment and I'm interested in boosting SEO for it. .co is not like one of the top recommended. I think it's good if you've got a specific domain name that you want to go for, and you can't, it's all taken in the .co.uk. I recommend .co.uk domain names. So if you're buying a domain name, that's what Bill's asking. If I buy .co, is that right? Let's say yes if I've got that right, Bill, just to confirm. And on that question, I would recommend that we try to get the .co.uk first. If your company is based in the UK, it's not going to expand to the US or outside into Europe. If it's UK based, it's local and national for the UK, then .co.uk is by far the best domain name you can get. .com is good if you're e-commerce or international, you're doing US, UK, and Europe. And then you've got .org.uk, you've got .net, .com is so first and foremost, I would have .co.uk if you're UK based only. Then I would go for .com. Sorry, Ben, names.co is the name of the website hosting and build. Okay, so that's you're asking about if I would use names.co, not the domain name, right? Okay, well, I've already explained the domain names in another video anyway, so I can move on from that, like GoDaddy. I don't recommend the builders outside of WordPress, to be honest. So yes, you could use, if you've done your research on names.co. I've never heard of them myself, so I can't recommend them. And the fact that I've not heard of them, hi Bern, thanks for joining. I wouldn't recommend going ahead with them just for that reason, because I've done websites and been on the internet for a long time, and I've not heard of names.co for buying domain names, but potentially you were recommended that from another expert on the internet. So I can't recommend them, but do your research on on all the trusted sites for reviews, and just do your research to make sure they're trusted. I wouldn't use like a GoDaddy website builder. I actually had a client or a potential client I met yesterday who's using GoDaddy. And what tends to happen every time I build a website, it usually happens where someone's built their own website through Wix or like on a web builder, and it works for getting a site up. It definitely works just getting a landing page up. But once you want to expand in terms of what you mentioned, that you're interested in boosting SEO, you're limited in what you can do. Whereas with WordPress, which I highly recommend, you could use Names.co if they're trusted, and then install a WordPress site into that domain name that you decide to use. So you've got Names.co for just hosting, just for getting your putting your domain name into and hosting the website. So what hosting is, just to explain, is it's like your iCloud. It holds the files on the internet for your website. So if you add an image, it can store that image in that hosting. So you need a domain name, which is like bing.com, and then you need hosting separately, or you sometimes get them two in one, where you get the domain and hosting kind of covered all in one, and then you can set up emails and things when you've got that. But you don't need to go with their builder. You can actually install WordPress, and then from WordPress, you're limitless what you can do with the website. And a large portion of the internet is kind of built with WordPress sites. So you've got me, you've got other people that you know that build WordPress sites, have managed WordPress sites, and there's so much advice and YouTube videos out there to help you learn more about growing your site with plugins, themes. There's lots of customizable themes. You can get paid premium ones, which I recommend, and premium plugins for booking calendars and e-commerce. You could really expand it with WordPress for free, because there's lots of free plugins as well. That it's almost like a community where people contribute to the WordPress community to make it better, and it just evolves that way. And then you get reviews and ratings on each of these plugins and themes that people have developed, web developers have developed for free and contributed into WordPress. So you've got like limitless plugins and themes to expand your website on, if that's where you want to go. The website builders, like such as Names.co or GoDaddy's website builder, are super simple. It's set up for dummies. So it's good for that reason if you have no clue about the internet, and you can get a website up and running, and then you can use that to kind of as a concept to show a web developer, professional web development company, what it is you're looking for. I think that's a great way to like kind of design it and get something up on the internet, but you are limited. That's one thing I would say, Bill. Hope that answers your question. Thanks for joining, everyone else. I've got Dougie and Phil and Ryan here. Let me know if you've got any questions. Again, the reason this is called Impromptu for Ben's Business Podcast is because I thought I had a guest interview today, but I found out 10 minutes before I didn't. But I'm super prepared for next week. But I'm happy to answer any live questions that come on. Let me know if you've got any, Born. And Thomas, have you got any questions for me on Instagram that I can answer here on Facebook Live as well? So hopefully that answers your question. I recommend WordPress, and you can get your host in place and install WordPress separately. And then I've got a whole course on WordPress itself, on WordPress and search engine optimization, because that was the other part of your question, that you're interested in boosting SEO for it. So you can install plugins such as the all-in-one SEO pack or Yoast SEO into a WordPress site, and from there you can add all the sort of keywords, search terms that customers search to find this product or service that you're selling. And once you have those plugins in place, they've got lots of options inside their settings to really go advanced with your SEO, or bring in someone advanced to do the SEO for you. But again, GoDaddy, which I was looking at yesterday, is so limited. It gives you the sort of title tag to add your keywords in there. But we had a big problem yesterday. We were looking at it. It actually included the domain name as all of one word. So for example, bensbusinesspodcast.com. That the space in between Ben's business and then like the space between podcast would be all shrunk together, so they were stuffed together, and that therefore on Google don't pick that up as the individual keywords such as Ben Business Podcast. Google, when you put it together like a domain name, which is all one word, Google spiders don't actually pick that up and find that as a search term. So that was a big problem with what I found on GoDaddy. And these are kind of the limitations you get with these free website builders on hosting platforms. Thanks for joining on Instagram. I'm doing a Q&A today, totally impromptu, because my guest interview is not this week, it's next week. So let me know if you've got any questions. Aiden, and I think that's Anna and Thomas. So anything to do with growing your business, search engine optimization, lead generation, sales, marketing, internet marketing. See what I've got here. And for next week's guest interview, I've got David Burkus, who's a TEDx speaker. One of his videos has got just under 2 million views. He's a best-selling author. He's also an author of 4 different books. The book that we will probably be focusing on next week is his new one that was published in 2018 about a friend of a friend. So like connecting to your sort of dormant connections that you've not, like for example, it could even be clients that you've done business for 5 years ago. They're still connections of yours. And what David says about the connection about in his book is about networking, is that we're all involved in this network, and there's 7 billion plus people in the world, and that's our network. We just have to get better at connecting and being involved in that network and growing the network you've got, and getting deeper connections. So that's a big part of what we'll be talking about. And I've got lists of questions in my book for him, which I was ready to answer today, ask him today and get answered. So I'm sorry for anyone who came online for that. I did mention it to a few people that we will be doing it next week. So thanks for everyone who joined me this week. I hope you found that valuable, Bill, and I answered your question. If anyone's got any other questions, just put in hashtag replay and I'll try to answer that in the comments. Bill's got one wee question here for me. I've discovered that I can only comment on your podcast via my phone, can't do it on my PC. Maybe people watching this podcast would like to ask a question, but I can't. So Bill's suggesting if you can't leave a comment, like Bill, he's having a problem leaving comments in here, try your phone and that should send through better. So I'll just wait, because sometimes Facebook Live is a wee bit delayed as well. So I didn't see that message just until right now. And while I wait on any other questions coming through, I just want to explain how it feels to stick on Facebook Live with no plan at all. It's quite a scary thing to do, because you don't know how it's going to go. And like, I could have literally had no questions come in, but it's a risk worth taking, because someone can always receive value from, like, I can receive value from every one of you who's watching live today. Everyone has knowledge and experience, and there's people, like, say you're here, there's people here who look up to you, that you can bring value to their life. So like, that decision for me to make, that like, I'm going to go live anyway, even though my guests not going to be here today, I decided to go live based on that kind of theory that I have, that no matter what, if I go on live, there's someone out there who will have a question for me, or if I need to maybe dig for that to get them to ask the question, but there's always someone out there who needs advice from you, who might not ask it, but if you prompt them to ask it, they might do it. So don't lose that chance to help people. There's so many people out there that could do with your the knowledge and experience that you've got, and you've probably had some successes and achievements in your life and your business that other people look up to you for that reason. So back to what I was talking about last week about low self-esteem, it's recognizing that gift and the talents and the knowledge and experience and the habits we've built up over time that we've been gifted with, that we've got in us, that we can answer these questions, because we're doing it one-to-one, day-to-day, but it's the feeling of going public with it, going live, and actually going through the ego that's scared to press live. So I just thought I'd share that as well, just how I'm feeling, or how I was feeling about pressing live with no plan, and calling this impromptu and just going live to answer questions. So thanks for everyone who came online. I hope this was valuable to you off the cuff, and I look forward to seeing you next week when we've got our live guest interview with David Burkus, author of Friend of a Friend. Thank you.